I used to love Christmas. Used to. Now, every year when December hits, I start checking the locks twice, sometimes 3 times. My wife thinks it's anxiety. She's not wrong, but she doesn't know why. I've never told anyone this story in full. Tonight felt like the right time. 4 years ago, my family drove up to my grandmother's house in Northfield, Minnesota for Christmas. Big old farmhouse, the kind that's been in the family for generations. Creaky floors, low ceilings, a basement nobody liked going into. But it was home. Christmas there always felt like the real thing. Wood fire, homemade pie, the whole picture. There were 7 of us that year. Me, my wife, our daughter Lily, who was 9 at the time, my parents, my Uncle Ron, and Grandma Edith. We'd done this every Christmas for 30 years. Grandma Edith had been acting strange all evening. Not frightening strange, just quiet. She kept looking toward the back window, the one that faced the field behind the house, flat, frozen farmland that stretched about a 1/4 mile before hitting the tree line. She'd look out, then look away, look out, look away. At one point, my mom touched her shoulder and asked if she was okay. Grandma smiled and said, "He comes back every Christmas. Don't worry about it."
We laughed. We assumed she meant the ghost of Christmas past or something poetic like that. Grandma Edith had always been a little theatrical. We went to bed around midnight. Lily was in the small room at the end of the hall, her usual spot when we visited. My wife and I were in the guest room next door. At 3:15 a.m., Lily woke us up. She was standing in our doorway, completely calm, which somehow made it worse. She said, "Dad, there's a man in the field. He's just standing there looking at the house." I went to the window, and there he was, far out, maybe 200 feet from the back of the house, just a dark silhouette standing perfectly still in the snow. No coat visible from that distance, no movement, just standing, facing the house. I watched him for a full minute. He didn't move once. I woke my Uncle Ron, who kept a flashlight the size of a small baseball bat. We went downstairs, shone it out the back window. The beam reached maybe halfway across the field, and the figure was still there, just beyond the light's reach. Still not moving. Ron wanted to go outside. I talked him out of it. We watched until about 4 a.m. Then the figure was simply gone. No movement, no walking away. Between one blink and the next, gone. In the morning, I told Grandma what we'd seen. She went very still. Then she set down her coffee and said, "How many of you saw him?" I said 4. Me, Ron, my wife, Lily. She nodded slowly. Then she said something I have turned over in my mind every Christmas since. She said, "Last year only 2 of us saw him. Year before, just me. He gets closer every Christmas. And the more people that can see him, the closer he is to coming inside." I asked her who he was. She looked at me with the most serious expression I have ever seen on a human face.
"I don't know, but your grandfather saw him too, the Christmas before he died. We left that afternoon. I told everyone it was because of the weather. Grandma Edith passed away the following spring. We never went back to that house. But last December, at our own home, 800 miles away, Lily came into our room at 3 a.m. She didn't say a word. She just pointed to the window. I didn't look. I'm not ready to know how close he is. Sleep tight. Merry Christmas."
I don't put up Christmas lights anymore. My neighbors think I'm bitter. My family thinks I'm being dramatic. But none of them were standing in my hallway at 2:47 in the morning on Christmas Day, watching the front door slowly open by itself and seeing nothing but snow on the other side. Let me back up. This was 3 years ago. I was living alone in a rental house in rural Vermont. Small town, the kind of place where everyone knows your name and nobody locks their doors. I'd moved there after a bad breakup, needing quiet. I got more than I bargained for. December 24th. I'd decorated the tree, made myself a sad little mug of cocoa, and gone to bed early. Classic solo Christmas, nothing unusual. The house was cold, the way old houses always are, the kind of cold that lives in the walls. I woke up at 2 a.m. because of the music. Soft, distant, carol of the bells, but slower than normal, almost wrong, like someone was humming it just slightly off tempo in another room. I sat up in bed and held my breath. The music stopped the moment I moved. I told myself it was a neighbor's TV bleeding through the walls. I almost believed it. I went to get water, walked down the hall past the living room, and stopped dead. My Christmas tree was on. I hadn't left it on. I specifically remember unplugging it before bed because I'm paranoid about fires. It was glowing, warm and gold, casting long shadows across the floor. And in front of the tree, facing away from me, was a child. Small, maybe 7 or 8 years old, wearing a red coat dusted with snow. Just standing there, staring at the ornaments. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. Every rational thought I had dissolved. I whispered, "Hello?" The child's head turned, slowly, just enough that I could see the side of a pale face. Then it walked toward my front door. Not ran, walked, calm, unhurried. The door opened, and I swear to you on everything I love, I had locked that deadbolt, and the child stepped outside into the snow and disappeared. I called 911. They found no footprints outside. None. The officer who came out was kind. He walked the perimeter twice, checked the tree line. Nothing. He said kids sometimes wander from holiday gatherings, that maybe I'd been half asleep. He was trying to be reasonable.
But before he left, he stopped at my front door and looked at something on the frame. He went quiet for a second. Then he said, almost to himself, "Huh, that's odd." I asked him what. He pointed to the inside of the door, just below the peephole. Small handprints, pressed into the wood from the inside, going upward, like something had been climbing. He took photos, filed a report. Nothing ever came of it. I moved out in February. I looked up the rental history of that house before I left. The previous tenant, a woman, had reported the same thing 2 Christmases before me. She reported hearing Carol of the Bells in the middle of the night. She said she never saw anything, just heard the music, over and over, until she left. I think I got lucky that I saw it, because at least I knew to run. Merry Christmas. Lock your doors tonight.